The fog at the center of the amphitheater began to move. Hanrui watched the candidates around him for reactions. Sun Bao tightened his fists. Liu Wen widened his stance. Cao Mei rolled the whetstone between her fingers and put it away in her sleeve. Wang Jing simply kept breathing in the slow, professional way of a man who'd stood at the edge of bad weather before and understood that you waited and didn't try to talk it out of arriving. Mo Cheng stood with his hand on his sword hilt. He didn't draw. He didn't need to. Above the floor, on the upper benches of the amphitheater, 3 figures appeared from the path that wound up the rear of the basin. They wore the gray-blue intersect robes of trial elders, with red borders at the cuffs. The middle one carried a small bronze bell. The bell, when she set it on a stone shelf beside her, rang once on its own. Trial 1, the middle elder said. Candidates will cross the lower 10 maze and touch the marker stone at the center. The first to touch receives a sect favor token. The maze applies formation pressure scaled to sect status. The maze doesn't kill. The maze removes. Those removed will be returned to the candidate floor. Those who reach the marker after the first will receive lesser tokens, in order. The maze closes in 1 incense burn. She paused. She looked at the floor. Her gaze settled on Hanrui, then slid past him as if she hadn't been entirely sure she'd been looking at anything. Begin, she said. The fog rose and split. Low stone walls climbed with it, formation circles glowing faintly along their bases. Paths opened between the walls. Pressure rolled outward from the center. A slow, steady weight that pushed against everything that owed the sect a definition. Sun Bao went first because Sun Bao was anxious. He stepped into the maze entrance. The pressure caught his shoulders and dragged them downward by a hand's breadth. He kept moving, but slowed. Liu Wen and Cao Mei followed at their own paces. The pressure took them harder. Cao Mei walked with her head low, the way a person walked into bad rain. Wang Jing waited. Then he stepped in. The pressure caught him heaviest of all. He'd refused conscription. The sect remembered. Mo Cheng stepped to the entrance. The pressure leaned on him too. Clan disciples weren't exempt from Ashen River formations, but the pressure was different. It bowed to him before it pushed. He walked at 3/4 pace. Hanrui stepped to the entrance. He felt the pressure begin to reach for him. It paused. The formation circle nearest his foot dimmed for a half-breath, then flickered back to its steady glow at a setting it couldn't find a name for. The ledger, gentle as a librarian, pulsed at the edge of his sight. Formation red, subject null. Status, recorded dead formation pressure, not applied. Note, the maze can't rank what it can't register. He walked. He didn't run. He didn't look at the candidates already labored down by the pressure. He kept the same pace he'd used to climb the medicine hall stairs that morning. The maze branched. He took the right path because the formation circles on the right were dimmer, which meant fewer trap anchors. He took a left at the second branch because the air there smelled of damp paper, a sign that the central archive of the formation lay on that side. He passed Wang Jing in a side corridor without looking at him. He passed Cao Mei at the third turn. She was leaning a hand against the stone wall, breathing hard. She looked at him, looked at the back of his hand, looked away. The character C burned faintly through his bandage. He kept walking. The maze unfolded its center to him without much fight. The center was a wide circle of black stone, lit from below by a soft formation glow. On a low pedestal in the middle of the circle sat the marker stone. a fist-sized piece of pale-veined gray rock, faintly resonant, etched with the sect seal. Behind the marker, set into the floor of the circle, was a second formation, a slowly turning ring of small chi symbols, the anchor diagram of the maze itself. A normal candidate wouldn't have seen the anchor diagram. The pressure would have been crushing this close. Their vision would have narrowed to the marker stone and the timer in their chest. Han Rui saw the anchor diagram with the calm attention of a man reading a menu. He memorized it. It took him 3 breaths. The diagram repeated on a slow cycle. He watched it twice through to be sure. Then he reached out and touched the marker stone. A tone rang at the upper benches. Above him, the middle elder lifted her head. The other 2 elders behind her exchanged a look that wasn't in their script. "Candidate," the middle elder began. "Step back from the marker. The trial." She stopped. She was looking down at the back of his hand. "The marker," she said, again, more carefully. The marker stone was already glowing under his palm. The trial chi pressure pulsed once, very softly, in a rhythm that meant acknowledged. He didn't step back. "Elder," he said, "I touched it first. Outer disciple Han Rui, you're recorded as deceased." "I am." "The sect can't issue a favor token to a deceased disciple." "That seems correct." She paused. The record keeper at her left had begun writing on a strip of paper and then stopped, his brush hovering, his face arranging itself into a polite blankness. "Then the matter is," the middle elder said. "A record-keeping curiosity," Han Rui offered. She breathed out through her nose. He recognized the breath. It was Steward Pan's breath from earlier in the morning. There was a procedural manual nearby that was failing to cover this exact paragraph of life. "Outer disciple Han Rui," the middle elder said, "step away from the marker. We will award the token to the second-place candidate. You'll be recorded as ineligible first." "I prefer not." The record keeper looked up. "Elder," Han Rui said, "I've touched the marker. The marker is sect property. By your own announcement, I'm ineligible to receive sect favor. I'm happy to accept that. But the marker still acknowledges my touch. I'd like instead to take what the formation permits me to take, which is a small object the sect can't retroactively grant me, because the sect can't grant anything to a recorded dead disciple." He let her think. He let the record keeper write. He picked up the marker. It was lighter than it looked. The gray-veined stone, no larger than a plum, held a steady internal warmth. He turned it once in his palm. He used the dim ember of his ashroot spark to nudge against it. The marker, which was a low-grade key crystal, didn't nudge back. Crystals didn't. But he could feel the small key reserve inside it. Enough for 2 breaths, perhaps 3. Not much. It wasn't nothing. A normal candidate would have left the marker in place after touching it. The favor token would have come from the elders, and the marker would have been collected by the record keeper at the end of the trial to be used again next year. A dead candidate couldn't receive the favor token, but a dead candidate had, by procedure, touched the sect's property in a context where the sect had no procedure for retrieving it from him. He closed his hand around the marker. He turned to face the upper benches. "Elder, I'll return this if you can name the sect rule that requires a recorded dead disciple to surrender a trial object touched in a sanctioned trial." She didn't name one. Behind her, the record keeper had stopped writing entirely. Above him on the third bench, a younger trial observer in inner disciple robes. Han Rui hadn't noticed him before, leaned forward and made a small, sharp note on his own strip of paper. Han Rui marked the gesture for later. Inner disciple, lean, clean-cut, expression careful. Wei Tao's faction or Elder Cao's. He didn't yet know which. The middle elder's mouth thinned. Outer disciple Han Rui, she said. Take it then. The law hall will be advised. Thank you, elder. He didn't bow. The dead, he'd decided this morning, didn't bow. He stepped back from the pedestal. The maze, which had been waiting for him to do something, now noticed he'd done it. The formation circles dimmed slightly. The pressure on the others lessened by a degree. They'd still finish their attempts. The maze would still close in one incense burn. Han Rui walked back the way he'd come, the marker tucked inside his sleeve. Halfway out, the maze opened a corridor he hadn't taken on his way in, a smaller branch that ran along the rim. He took it because the formation circles there were the dimmest, and because he wanted to see what the maze did when it stopped pretending to fight him. He met Mo Cheng at a junction. Mo Cheng had reached the second turn. The pressure on him was deeper now. Clan-trained or not, the maze had a temper. His robes were no longer pristine. A line of sweat ran along his jaw. He looked up as Han Rui approached. He saw Han Rui's empty hand on the side closest to him. He saw the bulge of the marker in Han Rui's sleeve on the side farthest. He didn't say anything. Han Rui paused beside him for half a breath. He could have offered something. A word about the right-hand path. A nod toward the dimmer formation circles. A small piece of practical advice that would have cost him nothing. He didn't. He kept walking. He passed Mo Cheng without turning his head. The way a man passes someone on a sidewalk he doesn't intend to see again. Mo Cheng watched him go without speaking. Han Rui emerged at the candidate floor as the next disciple. Sun Bao, surprisingly, staggered out of the maze, beaten enough to forget which way the exit was. Han Rui sat down at the edge of the floor. He leaned against the cold stone bench. He turned his face slightly away from the upper observers so nothing of his expression would be visible to the inner disciple who had made the careful note. He set the marker in his lap and folded his sleeve over it. 2 ash-root sparks under his palm. 1 marker stone in his sleeve. 1 memorized maze diagram in his head. 1 inner disciple record keeper noting something he shouldn't have been noting. 1 Mo Cheng who had now seen him win, lose, and steal in the same morning. Han Rui closed his eyes briefly. Not to rest, to count.